Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah, dear students at Faculty of Commerce English section. Today we'll have our section about the investment function. We'll have the difference between the actual investment and planned investment, how we can obtain the investment function, what is the determinants or what are the determinants of investment. All of these things we will take on investment, but first we must define investment. Investment is the purchases by firms of new buildings and equipment and additions to inventories, all of which add to firms' capital stock. So investment is either purchases by firms of new building or increasement in the inventory. We have increasement in the inventory, which will lead to actual investment is higher than planned investment. This is called the investment. One component of investment, it's the inventory change. It's partially determined by how much household decided to buy. We have two parts in this. We have production and sales. If you have production is larger than sales, this means that we have increase in inventory. If you have production less than sales, this means that we have a shortage in inventory. We have more people wanted to buy more goods and we can't keep up with the volume of sales. If you have production is equal to sales, this is the equilibrium. This means that the actual investment is equal to planned investment. So we now assuming in this part that the planned investment الاستثمار المخطط ليه ثابت. This means that the planned investment doesn't change when income changes. So when a variable such as planned investment is assumed not to depend on the state of economy, it's said to be autonomous variable. So when we have a variable that doesn't change or doesn't depend on the state of the economy, like the planned investment, which we assume that it doesn't change when income changes. هنا الاستثمار المخطط ليه لا يتغير مع التغيرات التي تحدث في الدخل. ده معناه إن المتغير ده متغير مستقل autonomous variable. The second definition is the desired or planned investment. Desired or planned investment refers to the additions in the capital stock and inventory that are planned by firms. We have here the actual investment, it's the actual amount of investment that take place. It includes items like unplanned changes in inventory. And here we have a main formula. That means that we have actual investment is equal to planned investment plus the changes in the inventory plus inventory changes. So here's a formula or basic formula of the actual investment. Here we have actual investment is equal to planned investment plus inventory changes. This means that if we have actual investment that is larger than planned investment, this means that we have a positive inventory changes. If we have actual investment is less than the planned investment, that we have a negative inventory changes. If actual investment is equal to planned investment, we have zero inventory changes or we have zero inventory. This means that every goods that is produced, it's consumed. The main determinants of the level of planned investment. We have six main determinants of the level of planned investment, which is the interest rate expectations, the income or the profits, technology used, the policy of the government, the cost of capital goods, and the stock of the capital. These are the six main determinants of the level of planned investment: سعر الفايدة، الأرباح والدخول، التكنولوجيا المستخدمة، سياسة الحكومة، تكلفة السلع الرأسمالية، وطبعا الستوك أو المخزون. Then we have an important relationship between the interest rate or the expected future income or profits and the investment. If we had lower interest rates or even a higher expected future profits, this will lead that we have more and more investment. So the determinants of the level of planned investment, lower interest rates, higher expected future profits will lead to more investment. So we have also the inventory adjustment and the actual investment. And back to formula, we have actual investment equal to planned investment plus inventories. And inventories, it's the production minus sales. If we have production equal to sales, this means that we don't have inventory. This means that we have actual investment is equal to planned investment. But if we have production that is larger than sales, this means that we have inventories. That means that we have actual investment is larger than planned investment. If we have sales or more goods that are demanded than the production, this means that we have a shortage in inventories. For inventory adjustment, consumers buy more than firms planned. يبقى هنا العملاء أو المستهلكين يشترون أكثر من السلع والخدمات التي تخطط لها الشركات التي تخطط لإنتاجها الشركات. This means we have a falling inventories. This means that we have actual investment falls short of planned investment. So here, consumers buy more goods than firms planned, inventories falls. This led to actual investment falls short of planned investment. The output adjustment and inventory adjustment. What if the inventories are lower than desired? If inventories are lower than desired, so firms will increase production in order to keep up with sales. That means the output will rise. For inventory adjustment, consumers may buy less or more than firms planned. Here, if consumers buy less than firms planned, this means that we have more inventories. This means that actual investment will exceed the planned investment. So the output will rise only if inventories are lower than desired, and here firms will increase production. In inventory adjustment, consumers will buy less than firms planned, which means that inventories will rise and the actual investment will exceed the planned investment. For the output adjustment, inventories are higher than desired. This means that firms will decrease production and output will fall. This is a very important schedule for the aggregate expenditure, which we have variables of income, consumption, planned investment, and here planned investment is fixed, and aggregate expenditure, which will equal to consumption plus planned investment. So here, if we have zero income, zero Y, we have a 500 consumption. Here we have planned investment of 50. This means that we have aggregate expenditure, summation of consumption plus planned investment will equal to 550. As income changes and increases, consumption increases, planned investment held constant because it's autonomous variable. So as the level of income increases, the aggregate expenditure will increase. This is the relationship between the aggregate expenditure or planned aggregate expenditure and aggregate income. As we know, in the last section, we have a 45-degree which represented income, and the consumption function started from above zero because we have autonomous consumption. Here we will increase the expenditure by investment, and we have a fixed amount of investment. This will mean that we have a parallel shift for this line to have a summation of consumption plus investment. Here investment increases, here consumption plus investment. Here it's a point where consumption is equal to income. Here aggregate expenditure is equal to income. So here appears we have a gap and here another gap. In this gap, we have unplanned rise in inventories because the output, which is income, is larger than aggregate expenditure. So we will have a rise in inventories, so output fails. Here we have unplanned fall inventories, output rises. Here the aggregate expenditure, which is C plus I, is larger than the output, which will lead to unplanned fall in inventories, so output rises. We must focus in this part because here the aggregate expenditure is larger than the income, so we have unplanned fall in inventories that will lead to output rises. Because in this part, we have a negative saving. We must increase in this. We have a negative saving in this part. Here we have a positive saving. Here we have unplanned fall in inventories, which will lead to a rise in output. Here it's the point of equilibrium, where is the output is equal to aggregate expenditure, whereas planned investment is equal to actual investment, so output will not change. في المنطقة دي لازم الاوتبوت يزيد، بينما هنا الاوتبوت يقل عشان ارجع تاني لمنطقة التوازن. Then we have identities or equalities. We take before that YD is equal to C plus S, and of course we here excluded the taxes. We here excluded the taxes. But if we had the Y, not the YD, if you have income, not the disposable income, this will mean that we have a positive tax. So income here, its components, consumption, saving, and taxes. The planned expenditure or aggregate expenditure